Hi, Kim West, the Sleep Lady, and today I'm going to answer Maria's question. Here's what she sent in. My son is almost 14 months. I never sleep trained him. His bedtime is 7 p.m., and he is currently napping twice a day for a total of an hour and a half, 2 hours. He sleeps in the morning until about 8 a.m. At 12 months, I started eliminating night nursing and would offer hemp milk throughout the day. I nurse him before his bedtime and one more time before I go to bed. He usually wakes around 10 or 11 and then again around 7 a.m. because that helps him to get back to sleep for another hour. He sometimes sleeps from that second feeding until the morning feed, but more often than not, he wakes up 2 times and needs nothing other than the pacifier or just my husband taking him in and putting him back. He is getting his molars, so we know he is experiencing some pain, but nonetheless, we're really ready to have our family have a good night of sleep. What is a good time at this point to train our toddler to self-soothe? He could do it during the day, as all we do is just put him in his crib and he falls asleep. But something about night oftentimes has him not able to get him back to sleep. Okay, Maria, so you gave me a lot of information. So it looks like you nurse him to sleep at bedtime at 7 p.m. And then when he wakes around 10 or 11, you nurse him back to sleep. And then he may wake up again and you give him a pacifier and somebody takes him back to bed. And then he wakes up again at 7 a.m. and you nurse him back to sleep, and then he starts his day at 8. So lots of things to address. Number one, if it means you're taking him back, I'm gathering that might mean he's in a bed, which is really young to be in a bed. And just know that he may not understand to stay in his bed all night long. And that might take several weeks for him to really get, and you constantly returning him back, you or your husband returning him back to his bed. Might even have to think about gating the door so you don't have to worry about him wandering around the house in addition to just getting up too. That's one thing. And I also am assuming perhaps that you're nursing him to sleep for all the naps too. And I can't tell when the times are for the naps. So some more information would be a little bit helpful, but I think that if you look at my book and read a lot of the articles on my blog, you can start to create a plan here. So at this age, our children need about 11 and a quarter hours of sleep and about 2 and a quarter, 2.5 over the course of 2 naps. Usually we don't transition to 1 nap until 15 to 18 months, and I definitely want him to be sleeping through the night before you do that. And I also wasn't sure whether you said you were working on night weaning, but he's still having 2 feedings. So we want you to kind of decide about that so that you can respond consistently. Because you can imagine for him, he's not really sure what happens when he wakes up. Sometimes I'm nursed back to sleep. Sometimes daddy walks me back, helps me find my pacifier, I think you said too. And then, other times I'm nursed back to sleep. So it might be a little confusing for him. So I want you to have a consistent approach and a plan to night waking. You might want to also talk to your doctor in terms of creating that feeding plan and how much he's eating during the day and how long he can go at night without a feeding. And then you want to think about the pacifier. So lots of things you have to put in your plan here. So at 14 months, he definitely has the pincher grasp to put the pacifier back in his mouth. And you really want to start pointing to the pacifier in his bed. You could even put, if he is in a bed instead of a crib, a little basket, inside, in the corner, and put the pacifiers in there and say, there's your passy, honey. Go, you can get your dummy there, or your passy, or whatever you like to call it, and stop putting it in his mouth for him. Initially, you might have to point to it, and then if he still sort of whines for you to get it, put it in his hand, and then eventually direct him to get it. And you have to really stop doing that for him. Otherwise, that will become the new sleep crutch, that mommy and daddy find my pacifier for me and put it back in my mouth. And 2 final points is that, of course, once you start sleep coaching, you want him to be awake at bedtime after a great day of naps, and then you might be having to start your day at 7 a.m. instead of nursing him back to sleep, but you start your day and breakfast. So this will be much easier to do once you're all sleeping through the night, so don't be too worried about that. Okay, Thank you.